community to beat them back, because we can't wait for politicians to make up their damn minds on how they want to protect us. Because we have notice of another action that's taking place by Extraction, which is trying to force people in this area as well.
All along the border? Doesn't matter, just surrender whichever.
Recycle, reuse, and reduce has been a slogan for many years. It's what we need to live today, ourselves, our personal lives. Then there's the politics, that we need to get involved, that we need people who will look forward, who will make decisions thinking 140 years in advance, who will look for green energy and renewables. That's what we need in our elected officials. We have got to, that's what must determine our vote. We have to have people who believe this. And we need to get them in office so that they can do something for us and change our world now. So, that's not going to go away for a long time, okay? I live here. I'm stuck with this, all right? But I don't want you to be stuck with it. That's why I want things to change now. Thank you. All right, youth, I'm an old lady. Take over. It's your time.
Thank you, Judy.
Take over.
All right. This bar.
3 months. I quit doing my daily walks because I did not know. Finally, I got the safety data sheets of the drilling mud that they were using at interchange. It is a toxic, carcinogenic, highly odorous drilling mud. And yet the operator had the audacity to tell me that they were using a low odor drilling mud. Again, I call BS. Finally, thank God, when this monstrosity started to drill and the neighbors around here were overcome by the same adverse health effects that I was hit with and my neighbors were hit with, finally they changed to a less toxic drilling mud. However, it's higher volatility, so take your pick. Do you want cancer in 5 years, or do you want a freaking explosion? So anyway, we're all out here to fight this. As an unincorporated Adams County resident, I stand beside my Broomfield friends, and we will keep it up. Thank you. Okay, we got it. Wait. We got time. That wasn't the truth. I got up out of my seat. They would not let me speak. I went to the point anyway. And so, when a policeman come up and grab me, and all of you out here, people from different groups coming together, this is amazing. My name is Christy Douglas, and I'm from Commerce City, Colorado. Home to Suncor, home to the Rocky Mountain Arsenal. And I say, we can't afford to bring in 300 wells that are proposed by Extraction Oil and Gas. The madness has got to stop now. So some of you may recognize me as a person who got dragged out of the Broomfield council meeting by that was so much fun, let me tell you. So they tried to say that I that wasn't the truth. The mayor was trying to shut the public comment down. I got up out of my seat. They would not let me speak. I went to the podium anyway. And so when I started speaking, I had at least 6 policemen come up and grab me and drag me out. That was my First Amendment right to speech, and they didn't let me speak because they knew what I was going to say. I also shut down a Senate hearing meeting because they said I couldn't talk about the explosions when Joe Salazar was trying to run a bill about health and safety and welfare. What about people dying in explosions doesn't have to do with health, safety, and welfare, may I ask you? It's wrong. Some of you are, now I'm a grandmother. I was going to bring my grandkids today, decided it was too windy, and I didn't bring them, and now I'm really sorry that I didn't, because this is why we do this. I don't know if some of you are old enough to remember the movie Network, where they went to the window and said, "I'm mad as hell and I'm not gonna take it anymore." Well, we're back in the 70s again because you can see the blue haze over the mountains. It's from methane. So I'm mad as hell and I'm not gonna take it anymore. And I want you to join me in being that mad. Thank you.
Thank you. Christy from Cover City. All right, we have another Christy from Broomfield. Thank you.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Thank you to all who have worked so hard to put this together, and to everyone that are planting trees and grasses and flowers on this property. My name is Christy Kowalczyk, and I am a Broomfield resident who is gravely concerned about what is happening to our community. I come here as an educated voter, a scientist who works in cancer research, and a wife and a mother. With so many active wells across the northern metro, none of us are immune to the cumulative effects of oil and gas operations. But let's be clear, this is not simply a neighborhood issue or a city issue. Oil and gas operations and the documented effects on climate change impact all levels of society and every place on the planet. The air we breathe has no boundaries. Let's not fool ourselves. Governor Polis, Broomfield Mayor Ahrens, state oil and gas officials and industry. Let's not fool ourselves by saying Colorado has the most stringent oil and gas regulations in the country. Do you associate stringent regulations with having never rejected the permitting of new oil and gas operations regardless of the location?
Okay.
Or with allowing an unprecedented number of wells so close to homes, schools, and water? What about allowing industry insiders to regulate the business they have so many personal and financial ties to? Regulations that have done so little to put health and safety before profits and poisoning.
If I gotta move, I'll move.
Politics and the oil industry have a wicked and deep relationship lasting many decades. We are way past due for all candidates to tie the purse strings and to refuse money from fossil fuel. As we look around us and see the gigantic drills and massive oil and gas pads, we are too easily reminded of the drilling taking place under our schools, our homes, and our water sources. This is not by our consent, but by filthy political force. I call on our Governor Jared Polis to stand up and tell the truth and say no more status quo. I ask Governor Polis to take our air quality grade of an F seriously and to be the one who finally makes a change in putting the health and the safety of the people and the environment above the profits of oil and gas. We, the voters, must demand a change that our elected officials no longer accept financial support. Tell everyone you encounter to vote. Help get the vote out. Help to educate those around you. Don't be afraid to tell them not only what you think, but what you know to be true. Remind them that it's our tax dollars that pay to clean up the mess that these companies leave behind. Tell them that there is not one scientific study that shows that fracking in neighborhoods or fracking anywhere on the planet is safe. Not one study has ever been done. Stand with me to vote for candidates that do not accept fossil fuel and get out the vote.
Thank you so much. Let's give it another round of applause. Woo! Yo, we have community members pouring their hearts out up here, and I want you to hear them. So if you can't hear them, feel free to come and get friendly with us. We're all family here. I hope Governor Polis heard that, because one of our demands for this event is a ban on fracking. No new fossil fuels. We're looking at you. We're looking you right in the eyes. It's time. We deserve it. I want to invite up another Adams County unincorporated resident to speak about the things that they've been facing with fracking. Where's Lizzie?
We have some of that.
No fracking way, man. No fracking.
Hello, everyone. It is unclear. Real close? Okay. It is unclear how the COGCC will approve the requested permits on Erie's Acme. That's kind of personal. First, Senate Bill 181, the COG is now supposed to regulate the development and production in a manner that protects health, safety, welfare, the environment, and wildlife resources. This Senate bill was signed into law on April 16th by Governor Polis, and yet much to the delight of the industry, nothing seems to be happening at the ground level in our neighborhoods with impacted residents. There are approximately 1,400 health studies that conclude human health is harmed living close to oil and gas. In addition, the COGCC does not have data to support allowing wells 500 feet from homes. And it is unclear if people that live 500 feet, or even a little bit more, like 1,000 feet or a little bit more, will survive an explosion and be able to participate in the emergency evacuation procedures. Show us your data, COGCC, that demonstrates residents at 500 feet will survive an explosion. Why is it that impacted residents at ground zero do not see anything coming out of this Senate bill? It appears as though Acme wells will be permitted as if this bill was never passed. How is this even possible? Please be aware there's a problem with Broomfield's air emission program related to the 7-day sampling time of the SUMA canisters. If a chemical had an ATSDR or NAAQS health standard of 10 and that concentration inside the canister dropped the last day, it would be reported as not exceeding the health standards when citizens breathe in the chemical for 6 days at a concentration of the health standard. What Broomfield does not tell you, but your taxes are paying for it, is that this is a general air monitoring for the region, not for individual health. Why would the concentration drop? Change in wind direction, or the wind's blowing in the opposite direction? A lot of wind, which leads to a lot of vertical mixing and dilutes everything down, or a change in operations. So I also saw all the ads that were being published prior to Proposition 112. Nowhere on there did you see anything about health and safety. They kept telling you over and over and over again to multiple millions of dollars that these are the strictest regulations in the country, or some of the strictest regulations. But nowhere did anyone say anything about health or welfare or safety. So I live about half a mile east of the extractions interchange beepad, and I experienced Gibson, which is a carcinogen. It's a hydrocarbon. It's full of benzene, toluene, ethylbenzene, and polyaromatic cyclic hydrocarbons, which the state of Colorado did not have the capability to measure, and yet they would go into people's neighborhoods, take measurements, and tell them their health was not being harmed by the oil and gas operations. They weren't able to measure this. That's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, I want to do 2 reminders. Number 1, look at this amazing garden that we have being planted in front of us. That means there are plants in the ground. If you are standing in the garden space, please be aware of where you are standing. We love these plants. We want to give them our love. We do not want to step on them, right? Okay, so everybody, if you are not gardening, if you can kind of just step out into this space over here. We've got space over there. Make sure you're not stepping on plants. Number 2, we have food trucks. So if you're getting hungry, we're here for a little bit of a long haul, right? They're over there in a parking lot over there. So feel free to take a break, go get food trucks. We have water, we have beverages over there. So feel free to roam and mingle. Next, I want to invite up Kim McNaughton. Is that right? Yeah, all right. She is an impacted Anthem resident and the founding member of Residents' Rights. Thank you very much.
Hello everyone, thank you so much for being here today. This is excellent action. I'm so impressed.
Yeah, they don't drive away.
So in August of 2017, my 13-year-old son started having nosebleeds. He had 3 in 1 week. I didn't realize what it was from until I was watching other Facebook groups and other nosebleed photos come up from other moms. And we determined that it was likely the result of the oil and gas drilling activity in Erie at the Pratt site, which is 1 mile from my home. They were using the Gibson drilling mud, which according to the safety data sheet, may cause respiratory irritation. Signs and symptoms may include cough, sneezing, nasal discharge, headache, hoarseness, and nose and throat pain. I was horrified that an industry was legally conducting activity which produces such high levels of VOCs that it was causing symptoms of toxic exposure in our children, the most vulnerable population up to a mile away. But here we are again, 2 years later, in the middle of the extraction project, and again, on social media, we are seeing other families in Broomfield discussing and reporting their children's nosebleeds. Nosebleeds at breakfast, nosebleeds at school, nosebleeds at home. It's hard to believe that our city and our state representatives are allowing this to continue. Additionally, we now have a subsurface methane leak in Anthem to deal with. We do not feel safe in our homes. Our health is being compromised, and our voter-passed charter amendment demanding health and safety first is not being upheld. And enough is enough. We must keep applying pressure to elected officials to stand for the people against an out-of-control industry. We must elect people into office who will stand for the people. We must use our legal system to enforce the laws created to protect us. And of course, we must use nonviolent direct action to protest this injustice. The good news is we have ethical arguments on our side. We have the laws of nature on our side. We have a strong, determined, educated, resourced community on our side. With these multiple points of pressure, we will make the changes needed to restore our human right to a safe environment. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Let's give another big round of applause for our gardeners. Look at how hard they're working. Woo! Amazing.
Permaculture is digging.
I wanted to give people a quick reminder of what we're here and what it's a part of. This whole week has been the Colorado Climate Strike Week of Action. All over the world, 6.6 million people striked over the last week for climate action. Woo! That included over 10,000 people in Colorado, over 7,500 just in Denver. Who here attended a climate strike this week? Woo! We've had actions all week, and this is our last action. And I want to invite up some of the youth organizers for the climate strikes so that they can speak. And first up, I would like to invite up Marlo Baines from Earth Guardians. Let's give a round of applause for Marlo.
I also shut down a Senate hearing meeting because they said I couldn't talk about the explosions when Joe Salazar was trying to run a bill about health and safety and welfare. What about people dying in explosions doesn't have to do with health, safety, and welfare, may I ask you? It's wrong. Some of you are, now I'm a grandmother. I was going to bring my grandkids today, decided it was too late. I don't know if some of you are old enough to remember So we're back in the 70s again because you can see the blue haze over the mountains. Oh, and I'm not going to take it anymore being that mad. Thank you.
Thank you. Chrissy from Silver City. All right, we have another
President who is gravely concerned about what is happening to our community. I come here as an educated voter, a scientist. With so many active wells across the northern metro, none of us are immune to the cumulative effects of oil and gas operations. Oil and gas operations and the documented effects of climate change impact all levels of society and everyone. Regulations that have done so little to put health and safety before profits and poisoning.
That's kind of personal. First, Senate Bill 181, the COG is now supposed to regulate the development and production in a manner that protects health, safety, welfare of the environment, and wildlife resources. This Senate bill was signed into law on April 16th by Governor Polis, and yet much to the delight of the industry, nothing seems to be happening at the ground level in our neighborhoods with impacted residents. There are approximately 1,400 health studies that conclude human health is harmed living close to oil and gas. In addition, the COGCC does not have data to support allowing wells 500 feet from homes, and it is unclear if people that live 500 feet, or even a little bit more, like 1,000 feet or a little bit more, will survive an explosion and be able to participate in the emergency evacuation procedures. Show us your data, COGCC, that demonstrates residents at 500 feet will survive an explosion. Why is it that impacted residents at ground zero do not see anything coming out of this Senate bill? It appears as though Acme wells will be permitted as if this bill was never passed. How is this even possible? Please be aware there's a problem with Broomfield's air emission program related to the 7-day sampling time of the Summa canisters. If a chemical had an ATSDR or NAAQS health standard of 10 and that concentration inside the canister dropped the last day, it would be reported as not exceeding the health standards when citizens breathed in the chemical for 6 days at a concentration of the health standard. What Broomfield does not tell you, but your taxes are paying for, is that this is a general air monitoring for the region, not for individual health. Why would the concentration drop? Change in wind direction, or the wind's blowing in the opposite direction. A lot of wind, which leads to a lot of vertical mixing and dilutes everything down, or a change in operations. So I also saw all the ads that were being published prior to Proposition 112. Nowhere on there did you see anything about health and safety. They kept telling you over and over and over again, to multiple millions of dollars, that these are the strictest regulations in the country, or some of the strictest regulations. But nowhere did anyone say anything about health, or welfare, or safety. So I live about half a mile east of the extractions interchange beat pad, and I experienced Gibson, which is a carcinogen. It's a hydrocarbon, it's full of benzene, toluene, ethylbenzene, and polyaromatic cyclic hydrocarbons, which the state of Colorado did not have the capability to measure, and yet they would go into people's neighborhoods.
New York striking with one of the most massive U.S. strikes. We had over 300,000 people show up in the New York streets. I think one of the beautiful things about New York as well is that when we looked around, it wasn't just, sorry to all the old white people, we love you, but it wasn't just old white people. It was kids of color, it was kids from different ethnicities and backgrounds, there was kids with LGBTQ plus badges, there was people with Black Lives Matter shirts on. It was all the youth all together, and we were striking for our future. But before I went to New York, I was in DC, and in DC we were lobbying Congress with the You Speak Up court case and trying to get some of the U.S. representatives to actually take a public endorsement of the court case. But something that was very, very disheartening to see was these political leaders not listening to the youth and instead using us as a photo op opportunity and a time for them to tell us about what they've done in the past to protect our future. I had an indigenous young woman by the name of Tokata and Nina. And Nina told Nancy Pelosi that she didn't want a response and she wanted her to listen. And Nina told her that it was so hard to be in these halls of Congress, to see these white men and colonizers who had been destroying her land, who had been taking them off, the indigenous people off of their land and telling them that it wasn't their right to be there. And she was saying how hard it was to be in this room in front of this leader who said that she was supposed to be there to protect the people, to be there for the future generations, and yet she was not standing up for us. And instead of listening and, you know, doing what she could have done, Nancy Pelosi began to speak about what she'd been doing 20 years ago to protect indigenous rights. And it wasn't. And Tokata, the other indigenous youth, told her, she said, I'm sorry, but if we don't know as youth, then none of the other youth are going to know what you did 20 years ago. Because sorry, sometimes we don't research. And if you don't continue to show up for us, for the future, then we won't know what you did for us. So put in the work and actually listen. You don't need to respond to us. So I bring this today. I'm angry. I'm angry to the political leaders who cannot listen, who are good at talking, but they have gotten bad at not listening. They do not listen to us. But at the same time, we're going to continue to show them what we are going to do. That we are done with this toxic competition of of these races that need to continue to be won because it's some political toxic competition. And instead we're going to collaborate and work together, because that's what community is. That's what we stand for, and that's what our future will be like. We, right now, are showing what we want for a more just and sustainable future, and that in Colorado, we are seeing the adverse impacts of extraction, and we're done with it. The people are calling for clean energy. We're saying no to fracking, and they need to listen to us. We are tired, and we want to just have a clean future. That's all we're asking. Is that not enough? So thank you, everybody, for showing up. Thank you for striking last week. Thank you for showing up today. I'm going to say that me and Maya in February, we began to strike at the Boulder Courthouse, and it was the two of us. And some of the adults would show up once in a while, so then be 4 to 6 of us. And to have 7,500 people show up in Denver, Colorado last week is absolutely astounding and amazing. So I'm going to close with this. People power is more powerful than people in power. Thank you.
Thank you, Marla. Yeah. All right, I would like to invite up another one of our amazing youth organizers, Liam Grove, who helped to organize the Denver Climate Strike. Liam, come on up. You ready? Okay. Right here for her.
Oh, what's up, y'all? Okay. I'll try to project. I know it's windy. If you can't hear me, just like say something and I'll try to speak louder. But yeah. I don't want to be here today. I don't want to fight this fight. But this fight is not being fought enough. I want to be a kid. I've still got 2 years till I even go to college. I want to hang out with friends or relax or like even study right now. I mean, kinda. But the youth have been robbed of our childhoods and forced to grow up. We have to be adults before we're even allowed to vote, because those who are in power aren't accounting for us. We want what was given to them. We want a chance. Sorry, I moved my nose. We want a chance. We want to know in the year 2030 that our children won't be born into nothing. What we're fighting for is quite simple. We just want to live. As a Colorado youth, fracking is disheartening. Fracking is a very real and very urgent threat to our health. We have seen what it already does to locals and haven't stopped it. Coloradans are getting sick because of fossil fuel profit. We know fracking is very impactful in regards to climate change. My future is at risk, again, because of fracking. My own beautiful state of Colorado is killing our own people and destroying our futures for profit. What happened to us being climate warriors? What happened to colorful Colorado? What will our mountains look like when I'm your age, or those even younger than me are? I love Colorado, and I take pride in living here, but Colorado is not doing enough. We need to be the example, and we need to protect our people. All of my friends say that it's someone else's fault. Everyone tries to pass the blame. Look outside, fracking is right there. And somehow still prominent in our home. We have a chance to stop it. It's time to stop passing the blame. Colorado has to change. Fracking has to go. The simple fact of the matter is that, as many problems do, climate change has fallen on the shoulders of those who are actually affected by it. People have been dying for years, but we didn't care because it wasn't us. Now it is. Personally, I wish we would have saved those who we left out to dry. I wish we didn't take land because we could, and treat it like a little kid's Lego set, scrambling the pieces and destroying the preset instructions because we didn't think they mattered. I wish we'd read the label and saw the choking hazard, or the age restriction on the side of the box. That age restriction is now an age suggestion because it's that same kid who's been given the dismantled pieces to try to put back together. It's the people who actually tied themselves to objects to fight for their homes. And it's the people who are fighting and have been fighting for decades who are being forced to solve this problem. As I said earlier, I wish I wasn't here today. I wish we were all doing what we love and learning and living, but we're not. Some of you have been doing this for way longer than me, and it's you who I admire most. Those who listened when no one else would. It doesn't matter when you joined. What matters is you're here now. And this is just the beginning. As the week of action comes to a close, I urge you to not stop now. This is where it gets interesting. These next few months and even next few years are crucial. We will continue to show up, and we will not stop until we have our future to look forward to, and until our lands aren't being abused for profit over people. This is just the beginning. Our lives will not be lost without a fight. Despite wishing I didn't have to be here today, I am proud and excited that I am. And I'm proud of every single one of you, and you should be too. Because we listened, and every single one of you is fighting for something way greater than yourself. We're just ordinary Coloradans, but when we come together, there's nothing that can stop us. Thank you.
Thank you, Liam. Amazing. Woo, woo, woo. That's right. Today is just the beginning. This week is just the beginning. 6.6 million people is nothing in comparison to what this world is going to see if they don't do something about climate change, and if our Colorado leaders don't do something about fracking. And our youth are leading that charge. I want to invite up another youth who's been an amazing leader in this movement this week. Sophia Shivers, if you could come up here and say some words, that would be great.
Hello everyone! Thank you all so much for being here. My name is Sophia Shivers and I'm a high school senior living in Niwot. As someone born and raised in Colorado, I've grown up aware of the destructive impacts of the growing fracking industry, and I am tired of hearing about new wells going up around Colorado under a progressive and supposedly climate championing administration. The lack of action to address the climate crisis from governments here and across the nation is creating an enormous amount of anxiety in my generation. Yes, the climate crisis is taking a toll on our future and our physical health, but it is also taking a massive toll on our mental health. I am here today to tell you that we're already dangerously behind, but you all know that, and that we have no time to waste. As you all know, the land and resources of thousands have become poisoned by flowback water containing dangerous pollutants. For many years, we have had evidence of the growing impacts of fracking, and we have yet to see a concrete and measurable piece of legislation that halts it. Although fracking has created a temporary oil and gas boom and in turn decreased the price of oil and gas, the process has poisoned our communities and released huge volumes of methane into the atmosphere at a time when we need to be cutting emissions. You cannot put a price on the irreversible damage done to beautiful communities like this one and communities around the world. The Colorado government has allowed and continues to allow an increase in fracking without adequate consideration of the risks and implications to the local populations. They disregard the importance of data that risks potential profit. Consequently, the government puts the profits of fossil fuel companies over the health, safety, and welfare of their constituents. Many states have banned fracking, and so have countries around the world. Legislators, I'm asking you, please, and so are all of these people, halt fracking permitting. Stop fracking our future. It's your responsibility. We're here asking you for it. All you have to do is make a difference. We're behind you. Thank you.
Yeah. What did she say? Ban? Ban! 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 All right. Thank you, Sophia. Woo! I want to bring up one more amazing youth leader, and then we're going to keep rolling through this stuff. So please welcome up Maya. Thank you so much. You're welcome.
Hi everyone. My name is Maya Bovino. I'm 16 years old and a junior at Niwot High School. I am here today, as many of you are also here today, to, stand up for, not stand up for fracking, but stand up for what we stand on and demand that fracking be stopped. Now, I am going to walk you guys through a hypothetical situation here real quick, and I'm going to ask you guys what you think I should do. So, say that I'm really hungry right now, and I'm wondering, what should I do? There are many options of what I could do. I could go to one of the food trucks that are stationed here and go get myself some food, or I could ask somebody else. Okay, you know what? I'm gonna start over here because I'm messing up my hypothetical situation. Okay, so let's say that I actually forgot my wallet at home and I'm wanting something to eat, right? So I could go get something from the food truck, except I can't because I forgot my wallet at home. So instead, I'm going to, okay, let's just forget the hypothetical situation. Thank you. What my point is here is that I think that sharing is important and that we can only get what we want and what we need through sharing and working together. We cannot stop fracking without listening to the people who are connected to the fracking, but also moving away from the fracking. Okay. There's a fracking by my home. No. Okay. I go to school in Niwot High School, and there is a proposed fracking site only a few miles from my high school. Now, this fracking site, if it were to be realized, would be the biggest fracking site in Colorado. Now, I've talked to multiple people who live in Niwot, myself included. I talked to myself, who have said that if this fracking site were to be ratified, that they would move their families, they would leave their job, they would leave their home, and move their entire life away from that site because of the fracking, because of the effects of the fracking. Now, I think that it is so sad that we have to deal with, thinking about having to move our entire lives away just because legislation does not protect our right to a clean environment. Now, what about the people who are left behind who don't know about or aren't able to move their entire life away because of the negative effects of fracking. We can't leave those people behind, so we must work together to move away from this and and make a better future for my generation and for generations in the future. Thank you for hearing me out there. That was a little
Thank you, Maya. Let's give her another round of applause, everybody. Woo! This ain't easy. This is a sensitive subject. This is emotional for a lot of us. They are fracking up our lives, right? Okay, I want to invite Anthony up here. He's going to share a few things with us really quickly. And then we have one more person, and then we're going to hear some music.
Hey people, I drive a truck for a living, and just recently we got called to a job because there was a lack of work in the aggregate industry, and we got called to oil rigs to take out the fracking mud and the drilling millings that they use there. So I actually had first-hand knowledge of being on those sites. I see what they do. The ground is so contaminated with the mud, our semis can't even drive on it. The tractors literally have to push us. We go dump at Waste Management, a local dump site, okay? In the line with these semis who have all of this carcinogenic, contaminated waste from these fracking sites, right behind our truck and in front of the truck in front of me is you guys. All your friends who do remodeling, who clean up their yards and go to Waste Management and dump their trash, is dumping right on top of the contaminated stuff that comes out of the ground. They don't even tell you. Right on the entrance it says, no contaminated material. But on the manifest that they deliver to there, it has exempt for this material. They don't report it. So you drive in there, you and your husband go dump your trash from cleaning your yard on this beautiful spring day. You get it on your vehicles, you get it on your trailer, you get out to clean your trailer, you get it on your boots, you get back in your car, and you go hug your children. And they don't tell you about it. This is the leadership that we have in this country. Colorado needs to stop poisoning our future. And if I lose my job, somebody hire me.
Speaking truth to power, there is so much they don't tell us on purpose, right? They tell us it's safe. They tell us it's not going to hurt us. And yet our children have nosebleeds. Our children are getting leukemia. We're having birth defects. Our hearts are hurting. Our bodies are suffering. We should not have to suffer. Our communities should not be energy sacrifice zones. We deserve better than that. I want to invite up Kate to talk about some of these children's shoes that we've circled around the garden and what that means. And then afterwards, we're going to enjoy some music. Come on, Kate. Everybody give a warm welcome to Kate. Woo!
Hi, all. I've come to realize that parenting in this time, in this place, here and now, fighting climate change is just as important as all the other health and safety. Every day, we put sunscreen on our kids. We have them wear seatbelts and bike helmets for their health and safety. We have to also be fighting climate change because the health and safety of the planet is inextricable from the health and safety of our kids. And the amazing youth climate strikes were a great reminder of that this week. And that's what all the shoes are for, a reminder for all of us, of all the kids impacted by the fracking, by the air quality. It increases the nosebleeds, increases risk of cancer, increases moms who have risk of low birth weight. The shoes, kids' shoes around here are a reminder of the impacts of all the children living in all the houses that are negatively impacted by this. And so it's not enough just to do our personal, individual things. not using plastic straws, not eating red meat. We also have to demand change from the people who hold power. So there's a petition to sign. There can just continue to reach out to all the people in power, because it's what we do as individuals is not enough anymore. It's a time of crisis, and just as a parent, we need to keep going. Fight helmets and fight climate change. So thank you.
Thank
you. So if you brought a child's shoes with you, please place them around the perimeter of the garden. We're going to take a quick break from the speakers for some music from Bridget Law and Tiero. They're over there on the other side of the garden. Let's give them a warm welcome. So I want to give everybody a reminder as the music is starting. We just put our heart and soul into these plants right here. Please do not trample them. Secondly, we have food trucks over there in the parking lot. We're going to be here until 7 p.m. tonight. We've got a video we're going to be projecting in between these two screens. We've got more speakers. We got music. Please stick around. We've got drinks over here and things to do at these tables. And we also have this petition. So our youth put out some incredible demands to the Governor Polis during the climate strike, and we have a petition supporting those, which includes a ban on fracking. So please sign this petition. And thank you. Yes, we're going to do a closing prayer later.
Last summer. So extraction oil and gas, those guys sitting over there are building up to 24 wells. They have room to build up to 32 wells right behind my son's school. So we took him to court. The Denver District Court decided that the permits were legal. We appealed that decision. The appeals court thought those permits were legal. But what came out of the appeals court is that community groups do have legal standing to bring up permits for judicial review. The COGCC and their counsel, Phil Weiser, has determined that they need to take us to the Supreme Court to challenge that decision. So I saw Phil Weiser and I asked him why he is taking us to the Supreme Court, and he said he's just doing his job. A lot of community leaders, elected officials, are telling us that they are just doing their job. And I want everyone to be quiet for a second, because they didn't even have the decency to shut that off while we're out here. You can hear the rig right now. They did not have the decency to shut it down while we're here. Even though there are moms, there are kids, there's family out here. And I want to give a shout out to the moms and the dads here bringing your kids out here, because your kids are going to remember, your children are going to remember that you decided to speak out against this horrible horrible injustice that's going on, not only here in Broomfield, but all over the state of Colorado, all over our nation. And so I'd like to ask each and every one of you to take some time of your day, it's not going to take you long, to call out your elected officials that are not speaking up against this. In Greeley, a lot of our communities of color are being directly impacted. Sites are going up behind their homes. Literally, the setback is 500 feet. They're building these sites 507 feet, 512 feet directly behind people's homes. So I encourage a lot of the people out here, especially all the white people out here, you need to be our allies, because nobody is speaking up for communities of color as much as we should. And we have to remember that a lot of the land here in Colorado is indigenous land, and they are destroying this land for their greed, because nobody else is benefiting from this. They say they're paying us taxes, but you know what? They get a tax credit every time they pay their taxes. We don't get tax credits for paying our taxes. It's ridiculous. So please, take some time, find out who your elected officials are, call them up, tell them to speak out against the injustices going on in Colorado, and also find out which politicians, which candidates are running for office that will speak out against this injustice that's going on in Colorado. Thank you.
Thank you, Patricia. Okay. I would also love to invite up another impacted community member who's been along the ride with us in this fight. Kristen Logan, are you around? There you are. All right, everybody give it up for Kristen. Yay!
Hi everyone. Welcome to Broomfield and welcome to my neighborhood. My house is directly behind us right over there. I chose to move to this community with a 2-year-old child, 8 months pregnant, and we had plans of starting a family and living a peaceful life. Boy, did those plans change. Within a few months, the moratorium on fracking was overturned, and the next thing I knew, we had all of these wells coming in. And even worse, we had wells coming in Erie, and my child, who never had nosebleeds before in her life, started having nosebleeds. They happen frequently. Luckily, she was moving into kindergarten. Once she moved away, all of the nosebleeds stopped. And to this day, no one still has been able to help me understand why they started and why they stopped, and the only thing that changed was oil and gas. Now we're living here with this project. Let me tell you, here in Broomfield, we did what we could using all regular channels. We came to our city council, we organized, we spoke up. We passed a ballot measure, 301, to protect our families. We did everything we could do legally. We organized, and we are living with 84 wells. What happened to us is wrong. What's happened to all of us is wrong. This isn't just an attack on our environment, on our health, on our safety. This has turned into an attack on our democracy. We're losing our ability to be able to pass our own laws. The courts are not siding with us, and it's time for us to take back our lives, to take back our government, and to put an end to this madness. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Anna Marie Cleary, where'd you just go? Right here. There she is. All right. Everybody give it up for Anna Marie. She's another impacted community member from Broomfield.
Doesn't matter at this point.
Good evening, everybody, and thank you all for being here. It's been a long road to be where we are today, and I'm sad to see that Joel standing there, to find that we failed. We failed by being quiet. We failed by not standing strong enough, and we're still failing. Communities, these well-planned communities did not plan for oil and gas in their backyards. They did not plan for their children to be sick in their own homes and in their beds, and we're tired of it. We're tired of facing what other people's decisions have brought us to. We're tired of being sold the lies of what we thought we moved here for and what we bought our homes and invested in our futures. So the time is now to make a difference. The time is now to stand together. The time is now to say no more. And thank you for being here and for standing strong and to continuing to stand strong. It's been over 7 years for me. And sometimes there was one person, or 2 people, or 3 or 5. And to see here what we've done and what we'll continue to do and continue to grow until there is a solution. Because we can't stop until there is a solution.
Thank you.
You sensed it. Good job. All right, I would like to invite up Christian.
Hello, everybody. My name is Christian Van Wittenberg. I'm a resident of Erie. I'm one of the founders of the Erie Protectors, and I am currently a trustee for the town of Erie, just to our north here. I became involved in this fight about 3 years ago when Crestone Peak Resources came to frack the Pratt and Waste Connection sites. The wellheads are 800 feet north of my home. The sound walls were 600 feet north of my home. And myself and other residents suffered through that pad for over a year. And that was just 6 wells. Now we're looking at the prospect of a 30 well pad at Acme. We're dealing with the plans of 45 wells at Coyote Trails, and probably another 100 wells that we already know about for Erie alone. We are fracked. And what I wanted to tell you today, and anybody that's online that watches this and is listening, is that we need people like you to run for office. We need to displace the politicians that are currently in power that refuse to acknowledge the issues that we as residents experience because of this heavy industrial activity in our neighborhoods. The term residential fracking should not exist. So please, as we see elections come up, whether it's a coordinated election in November, we have elections coming up in Erie in April, get motivated. Commerce City in November! Support the people that have bravely put themselves out there to represent the will of the people against the will of these corporations. To give you an idea alone, in Erie last 18 months ago when I ran for office, Vital for Colorado spent $55,000 to promote their slate of pro-business candidates. Guess which business? Oil and gas. Because of the efforts of people like me and the Erie Protectors and the people in our community, none of those 4 candidates were elected to office. But it was only because we, as a tireless group of people who spent day and night trying and exposing the connections of the financial interests of these candidates, the financial contributions of these oil and gas interest groups, these 501c4 organizations that don't have to report where their money comes from. That's how they attempt to buy these elections. If we expose the money, if we understand how these candidates, whether they're already in office or they're running for office, have been bought and paid for by oil and gas, if we get normal people to understand that they do not represent the will of the people, they are representing the will of the corporation, this is not the way that democracy works. We must take our political power back. Do it in November, do it in April, do it for the people, and do it for your children. Thank you.
Thank you, Christian. Just like this garden, a movement is something that needs to be nurtured. And that means more than just showing up to an event. That means more than just liking something on Facebook. It means continuous action, continuous momentum behind what we're trying to do. And I want to invite every single person here today, not only to come out here and nurture this garden and give it the love that it deserves, but to give this movement the love it deserves, and to give yourself the love you deserve, because this isn't easy. This kind of sucks. We don't want to be out here all the time doing this, and I'm so inspired by all the people that I've been working with and that have been coming out for years and years to protect the people who need to be protected, the people who can't protect themselves. And that includes the children that are represented by these shoes around this garden. But that means that we got to keep showing up. This is just the beginning. This week of action is just the beginning. And I hope that today that you take a few moments to introduce yourselves to the people around you, because these are the people that you're going to keep seeing, and these are some pretty amazing people if you keep coming out. And there's a lot of amazing groups that need good people like you, and so I want to give yourselves a pat on the back for being out here today and for continuing to show up. I want to invite up Reverend Jessica Abel to talk next, and then we're going to do our closing ceremony, and then we're going to have a really cool surprise projection on this stuff right here. So everybody stick around.
And before we end, we're going to end this in a real traditional way. I'm going to start this way, next to this woman who honored me with her eagle feather. She will receive it back. She received this from Standing Rock. Who said thank you for what she was doing at Standing Rock. And this is part of the native way. She saw me wanting to do a prayer and she said, Grandma, take my feather. So you have a feather, because when you hold this eagle feather, you only speak the truth. And this earth needs us. We are living in gratitude. She feeds us, she takes care of us, she gives us food and water and shelter. And say thank you today for the fact that you have that. And then pray for the ones who don't have that, because maybe they don't have anyone to pray for them today. So I'm going to hand this mic to Julia, and I'm going to go around the circle. I'm going to ask you to follow, because this is how you close a sacred ceremony in a circle, by thanking each and every person. Look into their eyes and really thank them from your heart, because they've been here a long time, and they've been here to protect these plants, and they've been here to protect and help all these organizers. They have worked tirelessly, so much behind the scenes, and we only just show up. Please bless them to give them the fortitude and the strength and the integrity and the respect that they deserve, because they are trying to save Grandmother Earth. I'm getting choked up. I'm sorry, guys. It's a big thing. You know, it's like, this is a big thing, Grandmother Earth. And we have no right to abuse her. So we ask you to please bless these people who are giving their lives. Bless all the water protectors everywhere. And bless Red Fawn and all the people in the prisons who are fighting to try to save Grandmother Earth. And look into your hearts. You don't have to be an activist. All you have to do is pray. Not everybody's meant to be up front. It's okay. Everybody do it in your own way. Just be kind to each other. Just be kind. Be a human being. That's all it takes. Aho, Mitakyasi. We're all related. One more time. We are one family. 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 Now, so the plants can hear us, so they know that we're here for them. We are one family. We are one family. And we are here to support you, and we'll come back and visit. You are not alone. Aho, Mitakyasi.
Okay, don't leave the circle. We're gonna give, and maybe thank the people around you too while she's coming around. Introduce yourselves.
Thank y'all for being here.
Yeah, thanks for being here.
Thank you for being here.
Thanks for speaking.
Yeah, thanks for taking pictures.
Oh yeah, I'm actually filming.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
How am I talking into it?
Thank you.
People gonna rise like the waters, gonna calm this crisis down. I hear the voices of my great-granddaughters saying keep fossil fuels in the ground. Keep going, y'all. People gonna rise like the waters, gonna calm this crisis down. I hear the voices of my great-granddaughters saying keep fossil fuels in the ground. One more time, y'all. People gonna rise like the waters, gonna calm this crisis down. I hear the voices of my great-granddaughters saying keep fossil fuels in the ground. Woo! All right! Woo! Should I do one more? Oh my God! Okay, here comes another song. Y'all ready? Please join with me. It's not hard. Very repetitive. We're gonna rise up till it's done. We're gonna rise up till it's won. When the people rise up, the powers come down, the powers come down. When the people rise up, the powers come down, the powers come down. We're gonna rise up till it's won. We're gonna rise up till it's won. When the people rise up, the powers come down, the powers come down. When the people rise up, the powers come down, the powers come down. We're gonna rise up till it's won. We're gonna rise up till it's won. When the people rise up, well, the powers come down. When the people rise up, the powers come down. We're gonna rise up till it's won. We're gonna rise up till it's won. When the people rise up, the powers come down. When the people rise up, the powers come down. We're gonna rise up till it's won. We're gonna rise up till it's won. Woo!